Who knows what this is? Can you tell me what I'm making today? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rinse the Flaczki before I prep it to parboil. So I'm just going to take the Flaczki and make it in a more manageable piece. Just cut it so I can work with it. This is how I like to do mine. I just break it down in smaller pieces. And so after I do that, I just make sure I cut the Flaczki about the size that my husband likes them. And I try to keep them all uniform so they cook evenly throughout the whole process. And I'm going to do this until all the Flaczki is cut. I'm going to cut this in half again. Alright, so now I'm just going to transfer my Flaczki from the cutting board to the bowl. Okay, for the next part of the Flaczki, I use beef to make my rosu, my broth for the actual soup. I have beef bone-in shank, and then I also have some beef neck bones to use to make the rosu. So what I'm going to do is just take this from the pack, put them in my clean sink, and then I'm going to just rinse them off with some cool water. Okay, so now I'm going to season my beef before I sear it. I'm going to turn it over and do the same thing on this side. I'm using beef neck bones and beef bone-in shank. It's really important that you use a good type of meat that has a bone in it when you're making your base, which is your stock or your broth for your soups. So I'm simply going to season them on both sides. And I'm just going to add them here. And I'm going to let this sit and marinate for about 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, now I have all my prepped ingredients for my Flaczki. I'm going to take the raw Flaczki and dump them in a pot of boiling water and let them par cook, which is to cook partially before I get ready to put them in the Flaczki soup. Okay, so now I'm going to take my beef and I'm going to sear it on both sides. I'm not fully cooking it, I'm just going to sear it. This is going to be the base, beef base for my Flaczki. I have the pan, it's a moderate heat with a thin coating of olive oil. That's my preference. You can use any type of oil. Okay, so we're looking for a nice golden brown. So you're just going to flip them over. That's nicely brown. This is fine. And we're going to let it brown on the other side. This one can stay a little more. And once these are completely brown, I'm going to sit them in a tray and I'm going to finish searing the rest of the meat. Just sear my beef shank. Okay, I think these should be ready to turn now. Oh, that's beautiful, beautiful, perfect color. Okay, Google, stop. My assistant was helping me. Okay, now that the Flaczki have cooked about 30 to 45 minutes, I'm going to take them off the burner. And I am going to drain them here in this colander. Okay, now I'm going to rinse them with some cold water. Now I'm going to drain them and put them to the side, set them in the refrigerator until they're ready to go in the actual soup to cook some more. So now I'm getting ready to make the base, actually the broth for the Flaczki soup. So I'm going to take carrot, cut it in half, and peel it. I'm ready to start my base. I have my browned meat. I'm going to add it to this pot. I'm going to add my vegetables. Carrots, parsnips, onions, and celery. I'm going to add my bay leaf. And then I'm going to add some allspice. And a little ginger. And I'm going to cover it with water. I'm going to pour the last bit of water in here. I just want to pour enough water to cover everything. All the meat is covered nicely. So now this is going to cook for maybe about an hour and a half, and then we'll come back and visit it then. These carrots and parsnips are going to be for the soup in the end. My husband does not like big chunks of carrots, but I do like to add carrots and parsnips at the end. So my beef has been cooking for a while, and now I am going to test it to see if it's ready. It's not falling off the bone, which is great. I'm going to take it all out, and I'm going to take it off the bone, and I'll put it back in so it can continue cooking with the Flaczki. And I'm going to add the Flaczki to it. Also, this is the time where you want to taste your broth, and you can add seasonings accordingly if you need salt, if you need more pepper. Just going to cut this up into bite-sized pieces for the Flaczki. Don't want it too big. Take all of it off the bone. Cut off any extra fat that I don't want for the soup, and then cut it into small pieces. Okay, I took the beef out of the pot and I diced some of the meat into cubes, and I saved some for later for another dish. And my Flaczki is ready from the refrigerator, so I'm going to take the Flaczki and I'm going to dump it in here. And I'm also going to take some of the bones that I removed the meat from, and I'm going to put that back in the soup. I'm going to give it a stir. I'm going to let this cook for about an hour to an hour and a half before I put the meat in. So my Flaczki is ready. It's not completely done, but it's done enough. And now I want to finish cooking the beef, so I'm going to put the beef in. Now I'm going to let that cook for maybe 45 minutes or so. Alright, the Flaczki is about 10 minutes away from being done. I'm just going to remove some of these bones and these big pieces of carrot. My husband doesn't like carrots or the parsnip. I'm going to add some marjoram. I do add carrots and parsnips for the soup, but they're teeny tiny, they're in little dices. So he's okay with that, just not big chunks. The carrots and parsnips earlier were for flavoring. This needs to cook maybe about 10 minutes. And I'll add some fresh chopped parsley to the soup when I get ready to serve it. My husband likes his Flaczki just a tiny bit spicy, so you can add some hot Hungarian paprika, but I'm going to add a little bit of cayenne pepper because it's spicier to me than the hot Hungarian paprika. So we're just adding a little bit. This is totally optional based on what your Polish husband or family likes. Just going to add a little bit. Just a little taste to see. I do taste it. Just need a tiny bit more. And I already know that's enough. Perfect. 10 more minutes and we will be done.